Let's get right into it. Number 10. Millions of people are absolutely convinced that an 8-foot-tall hairy ape man is stomping around the Pacific Northwest. But after decades of searching, scientists have found nothing. Zilch. Zero. The most famous evidence was a grainy film from 1967 showing something walking through the woods. Turns out that was probably just a guy in a suit. The Patterson-Gimlin film has been analyzed frame by frame, and experts say the proportions are all wrong for a real primate. Here's the thing about Bigfoot. We've got trail cameras everywhere now. Hunters put them all over forests, and these cameras capture everything from raccoons to bears to deer. But somehow, Bigfoot keeps avoiding every single one. Meanwhile, we're discovering new species all the time. Scientists find around 18,000 new species every year. But an 8-foot-tall primate that supposedly lives in America? Nothing. The biggest problem is basic biology. For Bigfoot to continue existing, you'd need a breeding population of at least 50 individuals. That means 50 giant apes running around Washington and Oregon, eating massive amounts of food, leaving droppings, and occasionally dying. But where are the bones? Where's the DNA? Every hair sample tested comes back as bear, human, or fake. Number 9. People have been and are still hunting for Nessie since the 1930s. The most famous photo from 1934 supposedly showed her head and neck poking out of the water. That photo launched a monster hunting industry. Millions of tourists flock to Scotland every year hoping to catch a glimpse. But that iconic photo was revealed to be a hoax in the 1990s. It was just a toy submarine with a sculpted head. Scientists have searched Loch Ness with sonar, underwater cameras, and even environmental DNA testing. They've mapped every inch of that lake. If something as big as the claimed monster lived there, we'd have found evidence by now. The lake simply can't support a large prehistoric creature. There aren't enough fish to feed something that size. The environmental DNA study in 2019 was the final nail in the coffin. Scientists collected water samples from all over the lake and analyzed every bit of genetic material. They found DNA from fish, birds, humans, and even some eels. But nothing matching a large unknown creature. If Nessie existed, her DNA would be floating around in that water. Number 8. Native American legends tell stories of massive birds with wingspans over 20 feet that could carry full-grown humans. Some people have claimed that these creatures survived into modern times. There were newspaper reports in the late 1800s of giant bird sightings, and even a famous photo allegedly showing cowboys with a dead thunderbird. The problem is, that photo has disappeared. People swear they remember seeing it in books or newspapers, but no copy exists anywhere. This became known as the Thunderbird photo phenomenon. Meanwhile, paleontologists know these giant birds did exist. Teratornis mariami had a 12-foot wingspan and lived alongside early humans, but they went extinct about 10,000 years ago. Modern sightings of giant birds are usually misidentified California condors, which have 9-foot wingspans, or turkey vultures caught at weird angles. The physics of flight put limits on how big flying birds can get. The largest flying bird that ever lived was Argentavis magnificens, with a 23-foot wingspan, but it needed specific wind conditions and couldn't just grab humans and fly away. Number 7. Chupacabras. In the 1990s, Puerto Rico was terrorized by reports of a creature that drained goats of their blood. Witnesses described everything from a gray alien-like being to a spiky dinosaur creature. The name literally means goat sucker in Spanish. Soon sightings spread across Mexico and into the southern United States. But when people started capturing these chupacabras, they all turned out to be mangy coyotes or dogs with severe skin conditions. Sarcoptic mange makes animals lose their hair and look absolutely horrible. They become desperate for food and might attack livestock they normally wouldn't touch. Every single chupacabra carcass tested has been a known animal with the disease. The original Puerto Rican descriptions don't match the mangy dog explanation. Those sightings were likely influenced by the movie Species, which came out right before the first reports. The movie features a creature that looks exactly like early chupacabra descriptions. People's imaginations filled in the gaps between seeing a weird-looking sick animal and remembering a scary movie. Number 6. The Pine Barrens of New Jersey supposedly harbor a creature with bat wings, a horse head, and hooves. The legend goes back to the 1700s when Mother Leeds cursed her 13th child, and it became this monster. For centuries, people reported sightings. In 1909, there was a week-long panic with hundreds of witnesses claiming to see the Jersey Devil. That 1909 panic was largely manufactured by newspapers trying to sell copies. They offered rewards for capturing the creature, which led to hoaxes. One man painted a kangaroo with green stripes and claimed it was the Jersey Devil. Another staged photos using stuffed animals and fake claws. The Pine Barrens are well studied now. Wildlife biologists know exactly what lives there. The descriptions of the Jersey Devil don't match any known animal, living or extinct. Most sightings can be explained by great blue herons, which look bizarre when flying at night, or barn owls, which have an otherworldly appearance and scary screech. Number 5. Deep in the Congo rainforest, local legends speak of a long-necked, elephant-sized creature living in remote rivers. Cryptozoologists became convinced this was a surviving sauropod dinosaur. Multiple expeditions in the 1980s and 90s searched for this creature, spending thousands of dollars and months in dangerous jungle conditions. The descriptions from local people vary wildly. Some say it's herbivorous, others say it attacks hippos, some describe a long tail, others don't mention one. When shown pictures of various animals, different people point to different creatures as being similar to Mokele and Bembe. This suggests the legend combines multiple real animals into one mythical creature. The Congo Basin is one of the most biodiverse places on Earth, and scientists are still discovering new species there. But they're finding small mammals, birds, and insects, not dinosaurs. The ecosystem couldn't support a large sauropod. There's not enough of the right vegetation, and the rivers are full of crocodiles and hippos that would compete for space. But we'll leave this one up for discussion, seeing as how this is one of the biggest rainforests in the world. Number 4. The Himalayas supposedly hide a large ape-like creature known as the Yeti, or the abominable snowman. Mountaineers have reported finding large footprints in the snow and catching glimpses of hairy figures. Sherpa guides have passed down stories for generations about encounters with these creatures. But DNA testing has solved the Yeti mystery. Those famous hair samples and supposed Yeti scalps kept in monasteries have all been tested. They come from bears, specifically Himalayan brown bears and Tibetan blue bears. These bears sometimes walk on their hind legs, especially when investigating strange smells or trying to get a better view. The footprints are the interesting part. Large bear tracks can look humanoid, especially after they've been partially melted and refrozen by sun and temperature changes. Snow expands and contracts, making normal-sized tracks appear enormous. Add the thin air and exhaustion that affects climbers at high altitude, and you've got the perfect recipe for misidentification. Number 3. Point Pleasant, West Virginia was terrorized in the 1960s by sightings of a large creature with glowing red eyes and massive wings. Dozens of people reported encounters with this Mothman over 13 months. The sightings culminated with the collapse of the Silver Bridge, which some people blamed on the creature as either a warning or a cause. The timing makes this case interesting because it happened during a specific period and then stopped. Most cryptid sightings continue indefinitely, but Mothman sightings ended after the bridge collapse. This suggests the sightings were either a psychological response to stress in the community or misidentifications of something temporary. The most likely explanation is that people were seeing sandhill cranes. These birds are 4 feet tall with 6-foot wingspans, and their eyes can appear to glow red in certain lighting. They were migrating through the area during the exact time period of the sightings. The stress of living near a deteriorating bridge, combined with media attention, turned normal wildlife encounters into monster sightings. Number 2. For decades, people in Cornwall, England reported seeing a large black cat stalking the countryside. This beast of Bodmin Moor supposedly killed livestock and left unusual tracks. In 1995, the British government actually investigated these claims officially. The government found no evidence of an exotic big cat. What they did find was evidence of released or escaped domestic cats that had gone feral and grown larger than normal. Some wealthy people had kept big cats as pets before laws changed in the 1970s, and a few might have been released into the wild. Most big cat sightings in Britain are actually domestic cats filmed at unusual angles or distances that make them appear larger. People consistently overestimate the size of animals they see briefly. A normal house cat sitting 20 feet away can look like a leopard if you're not expecting to see a cat there. Number 1. Florida's version of Bigfoot is called the skunk ape because witnesses report a terrible smell. The Everglades supposedly hide these creatures, and there have been thousands of sightings over the decades. Unlike other cryptids, the skunk ape has a reasonable habitat in the vast, unexplored swamplands. The most compelling evidence was a series of photos taken in 2000 showing what appeared to be a large, hairy creature in someone's backyard. The anonymous photographer mailed the photos to police, claiming the creature had been stealing apples. These photos looked more convincing than most cryptid evidence. But photo analysis revealed the creature was likely someone in a costume or a person with a medical condition called hypertrichosis, which causes excessive hair growth. The proportions were wrong for a non-human primate. More importantly, systematic searches of the Everglades using thermal cameras and environmental DNA testing have found no evidence of unknown large mammals. The reality is that if any of these creatures existed, we'd have found them by now. We have satellite imagery, trail cameras, DNA analysis, and millions of people with smartphones. We've discovered new species of whales in the deep ocean and tiny frogs in remote rainforests. But somehow, all these famous cryptids remain perfectly hidden. The most likely explanation isn't that they're masters of stealth, it's that they never existed in the first place. That's all for today. These creatures live on in our imagination, which might be the only place they ever really existed. Subscribe to see more videos like this.